I call it juggling chainsaws. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 5 of Chatting Transformation. I'm Barry, I'm a change and transformation specialist and I've been in this field for around now 20 years. And I've worked my way up from the most junior roles up to leading significant change and transformation activities. And the point of this podcast is for me to pass on my learnings and experience and my opinions to all of you so that your change and transformation journey is that little bit easier. In the previous episode, we introduced the role of the senior responsible owner, and I talked about why that's an incredibly important role within any change and transformation activity, as that kind of senior leadership and that senior, the ownership of delivering the benefits from the activity. I want to talk more today about the program manager. And the key things that a program manager does, and what a good program manager tends to be aware of. And I know this role quite well because I've done it on several occasions, and I've also managed program managers. I've worked with them as assurance leads, as their first line assurance leads, and I've also actually coached and mentored program managers and things in the past as well. So I feel like I know this role intimately, and I want to call out the really key things they do and then some hints and tips for program managers to be aware of. But effectively, the program manager, their responsibility is the day-to-day management of the program, and that's through the program lifecycle from initiation through to closure. And what are the really key things they do as part of that? Well, the first and foremost is being the day-to-day agent on behalf of the senior responsible owner, the SRO, to ensure successful delivery. Now, we talked, as I said in the previous episode, about the role of the SRO and the fact that they would be a business lead and they should be treating this as importantly as they run their BAU feed. Or their BAU area, but they're not going to have the capacity to be on this absolutely all the time. And so a really good program manager understands the SRO, understands what drives them, what their challenges are, what they need to be a part of, what necessarily they don't need to be a part of, and runs a program in a way that puts that SRO in the right place at the right time with the right information. So that's what a really good program manager does. To do that, they ensure that when the program is being planned and designed, that it's planned and designed in a way that can be delivered and successfully delivered. And they develop and implement governance and reporting that supports that plan design and ensures that the SRO ultimately at the program board gets the right information at the right time in the right way to be able to make a decision. The other thing that they do is when the program therefore starts and things are happening and work is being done, they're coordinating the project outputs. Remember, you could have multiple projects with multiple outputs, and they'll have dependencies and there'll be lots of things arriving at different times. And really the program manager is coordinating all of that and ensuring that it comes together as the capability or the target operating model that is desired, and it's what is going to support the new ways of working, which is ultimately what delivers the benefits. So I explain that sometimes, depending on how challenging the program is, as anything from spinning plates to doing the wall of death, which is the motorbike round the cage, to juggling chainsaws. To be perfectly honest, it can be that kind, depending on the type of program, the complexity, the organisation you're in, the culture you're working in. Those are the ways of doing it. Basically, it is being that person in the middle that can see everything that's going on, that knows there's a plan, and just running around and keeping the show on the road and making sure that everyone is safe and doing what they need to do. And in doing that, there's 3 things that should be in the back of the program manager's mind, 3 fundamental things, which is plan, RAID, which stands for risks, assumptions, issues and dependencies, and finance. And as that plan moves through, as things are delivered, inevitably not everything is going to be delivered in line with the plan. There'll be risks, there'll be issues, there'll be assumptions that become either validated or are not validated, and there'll be dependencies, meaning that if something goes wrong with A, there'll be a knock-on effect to B, and so on and so forth. So as that plan's progressing and as it's being impacted by the RAID items, the program manager then also needs to understand what that means for finances. So if a dependency from project A to project B is late, project B runs over and requires more resource, what's the financial impact of that? Or if a certain output isn't to the right level of specification because it can't be delivered, and therefore one part of the target operating model is going to be slightly less than what you thought it was going to be, what's the financial impact of having to fix that? So that plan, RAID, finance bit, and as we amend the plan, we should be going back and managing the future plan to make sure that it's constantly being updated in line with reality. So that plan, RAID, finance spin is really important. It's very much, the program manager is very much supported by the PMO, the program management office in that respect, but fundamentally that's what he or she as a program manager should be obsessed with. They should also be looking at resource management. So where are their people? What are they doing? Not just are they deployed correctly, but are they being developed in the right way? Their well-being, all of that kind of thing. So managing people is a big part of this. And also stakeholder management, because you're the person that everyone's going to come to when there's a question about the program, if there's anything impacting their area as a result of your program. So you want to be on the front foot with that. You want to have proactive stakeholder management in place. So you want to be out there doing that stakeholder management all the time as well. So those, there's tons of stuff that can be listed under what are the duties of the program manager, but I've tried to kind of summarise them in those few bullet points. But being the day-to-day agent of the SRO is fundamentally what you're there for. Planning and designing the program correctly, developing and implementing governance and reporting so that it can be delivered, coordinating those project outputs together is no mean feat, and getting that capability built, maintaining the plan, RAID, finance triangle as all of that happens, managing your people, as in the internal people within the program, the resources, the team themselves, and then managing the stakeholders, which are all the external people that are interested or influencing your program. So what are some things that to be aware of, or that program managers should really think about? And this is where I'm kind of going to give you my opinion, my experience. You might agree with it, you might disagree with it, but there's something in there for everyone, I think. First and foremost is that structure breeds success. And if you're going to be a good program manager and you're going to run a good program, you are going to need a good structure in place. Now that ties back to planning and designing the program properly and developing and implementing governance and reporting correctly. But it's also about structuring the projects in the way you want them to be. There's loads in there, but structure is going to be your friend. And lots of times during the life of the program, everyone is going to want to walk away from that structure, or do something that diverts away from that structure, or avoid it or go around it, and you are absolutely there to keep everybody on that structure. I refer to it a lot of the time as the battle rhythm of the program, but it's about keeping everybody on that structure, because structure is your friend. Another thing to be aware of is that some methodologies kind of split the program manager's job. So if you go down the managing successful programs route, which is very big in the public sector, they kind of split the program manager as everything from coordinating all of the projects, all the stuff we talked about, setting up correctly the governance, all of that kind of stuff. But the program manager's kind of remit finishes at building the capability. And then we have business change managers come in, and it's their job to take that capability, work with the people or the organisational part of the operating model to get them working in the new ways, which is the outcomes, and then delivering the benefits. Just be aware though that that might be what's written in certain books, and lots of methodologies have it where the program manager covers everything and is supported by change managers. So if you are asked to take on a role, or you're looking at becoming a program manager for your specific program with your specific client or employer, or whatever the structure is that you're going into, be really clear on what is the remit that they expect of you. For me, my default position is end-to-end program, end-to-end from work streams right up to delivering the benefits. I'm interested in that. But just make sure you're absolutely clear on what they believe the remit of the program manager is, because it might be different. Another thing that I am really hot on is building a proactive PMO function to support you. So we talked there about coordinating project outputs, managing that plan, RID, finance triangle, resource management, developing and implementing governance and reporting. You really want a program management office that is going to take, you're going to be able to delegate the vast majority of that to, and it's not just the administration of those things, because and again, this comes from my experience, you'll find that the maturity of certain skill sets, and a really good one is risk management. When you get to project managers or into stakeholders, things like that, risk management, issue management, dependencies, finances, you'll have varying degrees of maturity. And what you need is a PMO that's not just going to collate all that information, which is going to be all over the place, and put it in a report and give you something that means nothing. What you want is a PMO that's going to go in there, is going to do quality control of what is being provided, is going to advise, coach, direct, teach, get all these skill sets up to a relevant level. So the PMO is not responsible for saying what the data should say. They're responsible for getting everybody working in the same way, delivering the program, putting really good standards in place, QAing that data. They get something in that doesn't make sense, i.e. a risk comes in and there's a missed delivery date or something like that. Going back and clarifying with the project lead or the stakeholder what's happening there, because as a program manager you're going to need to do that at some point. But you never want to arrive at a meeting where there's any question marks over anything that's in the report. If you go to a program board, for me, I always go to the program board having done several walkthroughs and run-throughs of the pack, ask the questions. What I want is my PMO to give me 90%, if not 100% of the answers to anything I will question, because I know if I put it in front of the SRO and the SRO does a good job, they will ask those questions. If it might be different than if there's something there that you need to escalate, or there's a potential issue with another program or a project that isn't delivering as you need it to, but you need to have all the background information, and you need to have gathered all the intelligence around it so that when you ask the question, you already know what the answer is. That's a really good skill of a program manager, is to have all the answers in your back pocket. And to do that, you need a really strong PMO function. And I've been very lucky to both run some strong PMOs with some really good team members and also be supported by some really good PMOs in the past. And you can always tell the quality difference of a program when there's a good PMO in place. The last one is that we've talked a lot about developing structures, running the team, having projects in place, doing all the outputs. Actually, program management is first and foremost a people game. And as a program manager, you are going to spend the vast majority of your time managing people. You're going to be managing up, down, and sideways. So managing down into the project managers, into the PMO, into any business analysts, anyone that's involved in delivering your project, you're going to be managing them to get the outcomes that you need, or outputs that you need from them. You're going to be managing up because you're going to be that day-to-day agent of the SRO, and you're going to need to put that SRO who's got 101 other really important things to do in a space where they have the right information from you at the right time, in the right setting to make the right decision. So you're going to be managing up to the SRO and potentially other senior stakeholders. And then you're going to be managing sideways to other programs, to all the people that are going to be interested, first line, second line, third line assurance and audit. There'll be other parts of the business that want to get involved. There'll be other programs that maybe you have a dependency on, or they have a dependency on you for something. So you're going to be managing sideways. And a lot of that is around building relationships, understanding what drives people, what they need from you, what you need from them, and building really strong personal connections with everyone. So biggest lesson for me, and I didn't start off with this view, I started off with the view that this was all about structure and processes. Actually, it's a people game, and that's the most important thing. Slamming the desk again, just so you are all aware of that. So yeah, that's my take on program managers. I hope you've enjoyed this session. We'll be looking more into roles such as program director and what makes a really strong PMO in future episodes. But for now, thank you all for listening.